Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
The Thunder are one win away from their first NBA title after flexing their defensive muscles yet again in Game 5. The Pacers had their chances to climb back into the game late, but couldn't hold on to the ball. And the Steelers made the right choice at quarterback if they want to win in the postseason.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
A 40-piece from J-Dub. Jalen Williams has the Oklahoma City Thunder one win away from the franchise's first NBA championship. A 120-109 win in Oklahoma City. And speaking of in Oklahoma City, our pal Rylan Stiles from Locked On Thunder in the arena for us tonight. Rylan, there was some tense moments there in the fourth quarter in a game that really Oklahoma City dominated for most of the contest. And then the reassertion of the will, Jalen Williams, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a swarming defense got the job done.
Yeah, it was a really impressive response. When Indiana got this down to a 4-point OKC lead, you couldn't help but have the thoughts of game one creep back into your brain. Yep. It was happening in the crowd. It was happening with all of us. And then the Thunder responded and they kept punching. And that's a big lesson that they've had to learn is that, of course, nobody's going to roll over in an NBA Finals contest, but especially not these Indiana Pacers who are just so prone to these comebacks. So, getting that 4-point lead in that fourth quarter, swelled back up to over 15 points for OKC, was a massive occasion. And you're right. I mean, for the majority of this game, the Thunder controlled it. Only 6 lead changes, 2 ties, all happening in the flurry of that first quarter. And the Thunder found a way to keep Indiana at bay and keep them at arm's distance. They did so with its defense that forced 22 turnovers. They got out and ran off of those turnovers, the best they have all series, 17 fast break points for Oklahoma City. They still had some opportunities, as Mark pointed out post-game, that they could have been even better getting out and running, but it clearly led to a more free-flowing offense, which led to more open threes. Like a big reason why they solved that 3-point problem from game 4 isn't just the simple fact that they're back at home, and we all know that role players play better at home. It's the caliber of threes that they created and hit in transition that let them keep pushing the scoreboard in the right direction.
Yeah, well, and there was a couple big jump shots late from Lou Dort, from Jalen Williams, and Rylan. When this offense bogs down at times, which is something you and I have talked about on this show, and I know you've talked about on your show a number of times over the course of the playoffs. It's sort of like someone else besides Shai, please do something. Shai is the MVP for a reason, and in this game, to get 40 out of Jalen Williams, it felt like, okay, Shai can do his thing, but you at least have this pressure release valve. And by the way, the best version of it when a guy gets 40, it just seems like for as good as Shai has been, this team has sort of gone the way Jalen Williams has in this postseason.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, obviously you need a number 2 option. And that's what's been dancing around the heads of everyone about Oklahoma City all season long is, can you really have a third-year guy be a number 2 on a title-winning team? Like the Celtics last year. It's no slight to Jason Tatum that Jaylen Brown won Finals MVP and had to deliver in those finals. Like you just see it all the time where Jokic is the best player in the world, widely regarded, and I don't think anyone would dispute that. He needed Jamal Murray in that finals run. You need someone to aid you in a marathon of a playoffs. I mean, these things span we've been going since April talking playoff basketball. It's a long time, and you can't just do it with one player. And the Thunder have had Jalen Williams open up a lot. And even going back to last game, SGA took over in the fourth quarter solely because of how much attention that J-Dub demanded. If J-Dub had an awful scoring game in game 4, they would have just went and doubled Shai off of every single screen and not switched it and not left somebody with J-Dub. But instead, SGA gets the matchup that he wants because of how good that Jalen Williams is. And I think that you need both to succeed, and the Thunder have gotten a production out of both.
If you want to make the optimistic case for the Indiana Pacers in Game 6, by the way, back at home, back in their building, Oklahoma City has been, up for it in Indiana. But Tyrese Halliburton clearly hobbled, didn't make a field goal in this game. You mentioned all the turnovers, and yet, as I said at the top, in the fourth quarter, this was very much a game, tense times. The crowd, there was some breath being held on a lot of these shots. They have to feel like they just can make 1 or 2 adjustments and be right back in this thing in Game 6.
No question about it. The Pacers should win Game 6. We should be talking again after a Game 7 from right here in this very Will Guthrie room in the bowels of the Paycom Center, because you look at how the Pacers got that lead down to 4. It was by TJ just outright imposing his will in the third quarter. I mean, he scored or assisted on 18 points in that third quarter. And if that same injection into the game happens at home and the energy's on your side and the wind's at your back from your fans, it rises the tide of the entire team. Whereas tonight, doing it in a road environment, it lets you stay around, it lets you linger, but it doesn't elevate the play of everybody else the same way that feeding off of that crowd at home does. And you look at it simply as, in a way, a tip your cap game if you're Indiana. I know that it sucks to lose any game in the finals, and I know it sucks to lose back-to-back games for the first time all playoffs, but you look up and down this box score, and the history of the Thunder tells you you're not going to get 4 threes from Aaron Wiggins again. You're not going to get 3 threes from Cason Wallace again, both off the bench. J-Dub hit 3 triples. Lou Dort hit 3 triples. We just saw how bad this team is at shooting consistently and also shooting on the road, which swings in favor of Indiana as well. And, you know, Tyrese Haliburton, Rick Carlisle already said will not miss next game. He can't play any worse. Like he physically cannot play any worse than he did today. So even if you had a little bit of a better Tyrese Haliburton punch after whittling the game down, who knows how the rest of this game plays out. So I do think that Indiana, while it's not great, they now have to do what OKC did. The Thunder have not lost 2 consecutive games all playoffs. Neither had Indiana until they did. So they have to go take care of Game 6. And then it's a 1-game sample size. And yes, you don't want to leave the championship to be decided by a 1-game, one-off outlet, but that's what the reality is when neither team takes care of business. And you could see that 3-point variance swing in the direction of Indiana even on the road, because listen, the Thunder are the 13th of 16 playoff teams in 3-point shooting. Indiana is the very best. So in a 1-game sample size, who's to say that they don't just go scorched earth from 3, and there's not much OKC can do about it. So the Indiana, while it's tough, while it feels like they're never going to win again, they should feel pretty good heading back home to get that win.
You can stay up to date all year on the Oklahoma City Thunder by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Thunder on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. You're Locked On Sports Today. Coming up, the Pacers were sloppy in a crucial Game 5. Before we get to that, we witnessed one of college baseball's rarest feats. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Men's College World Series history made in Omaha. Arkansas's Gage Wood threw just the 3rd no-hitter in Men's College World Series history and the first in 65 years, striking out a record 19 batters in a 3-0 win over Murray State. The junior right-hander was untouchable, allowing only 1 base runner all night, shutting the door with back-to-back Ks. Afterwards, Wood gave the game ball to his dad for a late Father's Day gift. Pretty great way to stay alive in Omaha. Shohei Ohtani made his pitching debut for the LA Dodgers against the Padres, allowing 1 run in as many innings.
Shohei Ohtani allowed 1 run on the mound, but drove in 2 runs at the plate. And the Dodgers got a win. This is Vince from Locked On Dodgers, and it wasn't the smoothest return to the mound for Shohei Ohtani, but probably a little bit of what we expected. A little bit of rust. He touched 100 miles an hour. He was sitting 98. That was the good part. His stuff had some bite. Got to 2 strikes on almost every hitter, if not every hitter. But just couldn't put him away, and that'll get fixed for sure. But the Dodgers broke out against Dylan Cease. It looked like they were going to get shut down again by him. And then they stopped doing that, and they started hitting. And, hey, what a concept. They put up a bunch of runs, and the Dodgers cruised to a victory at Dodger Stadium. It was a packed house. It was a quiet and recording house as Shohei Ohtani pitched for the first time, from what I heard. Quiet in between pitches, not quiet while he was going out there. But all in all, a good night at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers continue to put up W's against NL West opponents. We're going to talk about it all on Locked On Dodgers, where we get podcasts and on YouTube.
Elsewhere in baseball, the Angels blanked the Yankees.
Not getting timely hits and not coming through where it matters most is the theme for the Yankees' 1-0 loss to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim on Monday. You maybe got Clark Schmidt's best performance of his career. Goes deep into the game. They don't use a lot of bullpen arms, but they lose in the 11th, 1-0, completely failing to score and capitalize on every opportunity. Giancarlo Stanton rejoins the team and plays really well, has 2 hits, legs out a double, looked really good there. But some terrible base running, some unfocused, undisciplined play. The Yankees just overall have not had a good game, have not had a good weekend. And get this, they have not held a lead since the last inning of the series against the Kansas City Royals. That could be a problem that's brewing really quick. I'm Brian McKeon from Locked On Yankees. You can catch us discussing all of the Yankees' woes and hopefully wins later on in the week. Not getting timely hits and not coming through where it matters most is the theme for the Yankees' 1-0 loss to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim on Monday. You maybe got Clark Schmidt's best performance of his career. Goes deep into the game. They don't use a lot of bullpen arms, but they lose in the 11th, 1-0, completely failing to score and capitalize on every opportunity. Giancarlo Stanton rejoins the team and plays really well, has 2 hits, legs out a double, looked really good there. But some terrible base running, some unfocused, undisciplined play. The Yankees just overall have not had a good game, have not had a good weekend. And get this, they have not held a lead since the last inning of the series against the Kansas City Royals. That could be a problem that's brewing really quick. I'm Brian McKeon from Locked On Yankees. You can catch us discussing all of the Yankees' woes and hopefully wins later on in the week.
And the Red Sox faced off against the Mariners in a battle of mid.
Derek Crochet the first 3, Lucas Giolito doing a terrific job with 6 scoreless innings and a season-high 10 strikeouts in the 2-0 victory against the Seattle Mariners as the Red Sox get post-Rafael Devers life underway and the 9-game road trip underway as well.
The Indiana Pacers kept trying to claw back into Game 5, but were careless in the most pivotal moments late. Locked On Pacers host Tony East recapped what could be the end for Indiana.
A pile of little things that became big things. And what I mean by that is 20 whatever turnovers, 23. I've seen 23 and 22 in different box scores, which is why I said 20 whenever is so many. 1 turnover is a little thing that they need to clean up. 20-something turnovers is a big thing. And that is what a lot of Pacers players led with as their key reason for defeat in this game. And it felt a lot like Game 1 outside of the comeback actually completing in Game 1 in that some of these Pacers turnovers are Thunder forced. This is what the Thunder do. I tried to tell you guys this before the series, and I think most people understood that this is what the Thunder do. And even when teams say, we know the Thunder are going to turn us over, it's what they do. And they tell you every game, hey, we need to be better at this or that. They can't. The Thunder are good at them. And I would say, I'll make this up off the top of my head, 14, 15 of the Pacers turnovers were that. The Thunder doing something in particular so effectively that it led to a Pacers turnover. And on those, like sometimes it's just like, okay, that's what they do. You don't want to live with it as the Pacers. You'd like to have 0 turnovers. But I understand those happening and why they're a part of playing the Thunder. The other 8 or 9 or whatever are just disaster, lack of attention, lack of focus, what is going on stuff for the Pacers. And that's what reminded me of Game 1. In Game 1, Obi Toppin's thrown it into the backcourt. TJ McConnell's launching it over his teammates' heads. Those kind of turnovers that just make you go, what is going on? Is there a mental blockade here? Is there a lack of focus? I don't think it's a lack of focus. It's the finals. It's just sloppy plays. And the one that will stick out in my head from this game forever, just like TJ McConnell sailing it over the heads in Game 1, is an Andrew Nembhard turnover, of which he had many in the second half that I'm sure he just is kicking himself for. The Pacers cut it to 2. 95-93, I believe, was the score after a huge Siakam 3 in the fourth quarter. J-Dub hits a 3 on the other end after an OKC offensive rebound, by the way. That was tough. And Andrew Nembhard has it. 8 minutes to go, 5-point game. Pacers in rhythm with the momentum. And he turns to pass it to Tyrese Haliburton. At the same time, Tyrese Haliburton tries to cut towards the basket to beat his defender. And Andrew Nembhard throws it into the backcourt. Alex Caruso hasn't shifted directions enough yet. He gets an easy steal. Cason Wallace has not shifted directions yet. He gets an easy steal. He dunks. The Thunder go up 7 right after the Pacers' highest point of the game since the first quarter leads, right? 43 seconds after they cut it to 2. That play happened. And that's what made Nembhard's turnovers to me so jarring. That was only his second one of the game. He finished with several. He was taking care of the ball until I think late in the third quarter. The Pacers had it to 6. He had another one go sailing out of bounds with 16 seconds to go. J-Dub gets a pull up on the other end. That was a very tough shot. It gets to 8 by the end of the quarter, instead of the Pacers having a chance to cut it to 4, right? His turnovers were rough in terms of the timing in this game. And I think that was what made his feel so much more significant than other guys, even though lots of other guys had rough turnovers in this game. But yeah, the timing of his really stood out to me. The one right after J-Dub hits a floater to cut it to 8, the Thunder immediately get it to 10. After that one, another one right after a Pacers timeout, right? Like they just felt huge in moments. And that's not even to pick on him. His just felt more significant, even though he didn't lead the team in them. But that one where him and Haliburton were so disconnected, a microcosm of their turnover struggles today. 6 from Siakam, butterfingers from him early on passes, on catches, on everything, right? It was very peculiar how many turnovers he had early in this game. And I will get to my early game thesis of what went wrong for the Pacers, of which there were many things. But I saw something in this game that I've never seen happen to them before. But anyway, little thing number 1 that became a big thing because of the sheer volume of the error is turnovers, especially in the backcourt when they were rallying back. Siakam's turnovers don't feel significant to a lot of people because they came early in the game. That shouldn't be the case. But as the Pacers cut it to 2, it was Haliburton turnovers, Nembhard turnovers, even McConnell turnovers, those 3 combining for 10 of the Pacers 20, whatever. I still don't have perfect clarity on that. And that is just crushing. Thing 2 that I would say is a little thing becoming a big thing is Tyrese Haliburton. And it's a little thing in that in this series, they've survived him having 14, 15, whatever points and being able to win or be competitive. He had 22 in their win in game 3 when they were at their best in the series. He won game 1 on a shot to get him to, I believe, 14. 0 made shots in this game. 0. That becomes a big thing. Here's what I think about this game. 1, can't happen, right? We go through this dance every time. People make fun of me because I say over and over, it can't happen. He has to be better, but, and then I go on this long soliloquy of like another part of it. So I'm going to do the same thing. He has to be better. But 1, clearly hurt. People are going to use the excuse card. Watch him. He's limping. He went back with a trainer for part of the game. He's standing as a decoy in the game. He comes out for TJ McConnell with 2 minutes to go till halftime. He comes out early for McConnell in the third quarter. And I will talk about that. I know many people have frustrations with that rotational decision. The Pacers are making clear choices that he's hurt. It's not just lip service, and it's not lip service when Rick Carlisle says they were considering shutting him down at halftime. He said if he can walk, he's playing. It's the finals. That's all great. He is still valuable as a decoy. I know his minutes went poorly for the Pacers. He was a minus 16, but like Lou Dort is guarding him. He is a good catch and shoot player. He does have that kind of value. Their offense was okay with him on the floor. His defense was not very good. He had 3 turnovers. He had 6 assists. He was second on the team in rebounding, right? He wasn't like so ineffective because of the gravity he has, but obviously he was extremely ineffective and not even close to the star level that he needs to be.
Stay up to date all year on the Indiana Pacers by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Pacers on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, the Steelers' postseason hope rests on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers, and that's about the best they were going to do. The Pittsburgh Steelers swapped out Russell Wilson, a declining veteran quarterback, for Aaron Rodgers, a declining veteran quarterback. Locked On NFL host Tyler Rowland and Louis DiBiase, though, explain why if the Steelers want any chance in the postseason, Rodgers was the much better choice.
Now, see, I got to play counter to myself. I have to at least admit, that is something I'm a little bit worried about. Does Aaron Rodgers want to be a heavy play action guy? Rodgers is a guy who thinks I have everything figured out. The more I have my back to the defense, the more we're hurting our offensive chances. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's how he's thinking. So I guess if you think it's a lateral move in terms of the level of play, the quality of play, and I think we both agree that Russell Wilson would be more mobile, and if Arthur Smith wants to do that bootleg action that he's done a ton his entire career, would you argue that they would have been better prioritizing keeping Russell Wilson in the building rather than kind of just saying, we don't care if he leaves, we're focused on Rodgers?
Yes, and for the record, I'm not very passionate about either one of these quarterbacks. I would have went with Plan C and went in a completely different direction.
Kept Justin Fields, or
I would
got
have
a
kept
rookie?
Justin Fields between the 3, or I would have drafted somebody early on in the 2025 NFL draft. So I'm not passionate about defending Russell Wilson over Aaron Rodgers, but I do think in a vacuum, if it's just those 2 options, I think for the Steelers, Russell Wilson fits the offense better. And while Aaron Rodgers is going to be a more consistent pocket passer that I think is going to complete more balls, he's going to make make different types of throws over the middle of the field. Like, he's just a more advanced quarterback, I think, from that kind of standpoint than Russell Wilson. But Russell Wilson's going to give you the explosiveness with, downfield plays. I think he fits well with DK Metcalf, like he did last year with George Pickens. I do think he's more mobile, and he'll be able to create a little bit more for an offense that, outside of DK Metcalf, has very little to no weapons. The guys at Locked On Steelers were talking about how they're going to run through this run game, but I don't even really love their running backs either. Warren and Gainwell doesn't really move the needle for me. So if that's the face of your offense, that's a problem. So I just think mobility would be very important in Pittsburgh's offense, because you're going to probably need to create outside of structure. And Rodgers, maybe this next year, everyone keeps saying, well, he's 40. Maybe it takes 2 years to fully recover from this Achilles. But if you get the Rodgers from last year, who was a solid player, but could not move, I don't know how the ceiling's going to be much higher in Pittsburgh this year than last year. In fact, I might think it's a little bit lower.
Relative to Russell Wilson, sure, Rodgers was the better choice. But was he a good choice? Does he make them any different in the AFC than they would have been with Russell Wilson? In terms of hierarchy, not really. We haven't seen Aaron Rodgers be an elite quarterback since 2021. We haven't even really seen Aaron Rodgers be a good quarterback since 2021. And we know the age cliff when it comes for quarterbacks. They tend to fall off that cliff. It is a precipitous drop. 1 year, you're Peyton Manning setting records with your Denver Broncos, and not too long after, all of a sudden you look washed, you're leading the league in interceptions, and you have a defense backpacking you to a Super Bowl title. Aaron Rodgers appears to be in his backpack era. He has one 300-yard passing game since 2021. One. There is no, in the postseason, he could tune it up maybe one last time and dominate a game. No, he can't do that anymore. Now, could he play better than Russell Wilson? Yes. A painfully low bar for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but also one that they have struggled to climb above over the last, 5 years? So are they in a better position now with Aaron Rodgers than Russell Wilson? Yes. It wasn't going to take much. Does it change their destiny in the AFC? No. And finally, Dak Prescott doesn't care about his legacy. He's heard the conversations. His focus is simple: win a championship for the team, for himself, and for his sanity. The legacy, the things, whatever comes after I finish playing will take care of itself, Prescott said. I want to win a championship. Be damned if it's just for my legacy, or if it's for this team, for my personal being, for my sanity. After an injury-filled 2024, Prescott is fully healthy heading into training camp, and once again, carrying the hopes of a fan base that's been waiting since Troy and Emmett for another Lombardi. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up, is it all over for the Pacers after fumbling Game 5? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.